This is Lemon's Car Spotting. You post to Instagram with the hashtag Lemon's Car Spotting. We pick the hooptiest.
They are so incredibly terrible.
And which one we want to become a real Lemons build.
It does car-like things. I've been pushing for one of those in Lemons too, and those are very affordable.
And this is Lemon's Car Spotting. You guys know the drill. Let's figure out who's picking what.
Lemons build, hooptiest, away we go.
Stop.
That's Lemons build for Nick, hooptiest
right.
for me.
Let us proceed. Ah, yes. Yet another Fiat 128/Lada.
Yep. Lada 210 whatever.
Yeah.
Niva. I don't know.
Well, the Niva.
Riva, I'm sorry.
That's the heavy duty off-road vehicle. Yeah, I like these. These are neat little cars. They look cool. I like boxy cars in general. This is Car Spotting Europe. We love to see stuff from other countries. I mean, obviously this is another country, but we love to see posters who are based there. Does anybody know what kind of plates those are?
It says this one left Ukraine, so I would say Ukrainian. I don't know. Ladas are interesting. We've had one in Lemons run by Rory Carroll, auto journalist. Spectacularly, I might add.
Yeah, he was dressed up as Brezhnev or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah. You can it still exists. It is back in Michigan, as far as I know, with Rory. Whatever happens to it beyond that, I don't know. But they were sold in Canada, so you can go find them. Also, you can find Skodas, maybe Moskvich, some other weird Eastern European stuff that wasn't sold in the United States. But if you want to go find that stuff, hit up Kijiji and see if you can score one.
Seems like an attainable goal.
Yeah.
All right. Next, the Geo Metro sedan. It's been converted. Either that, or this is one of those pseudo factory that's clearly based on a regular production car, but then is its own deal.
It looks like it says Solectra Force. So I'm going to go with the latter of those. It is like the Jet Electric double. Right. Yeah. Wherein the company that wanted to build electric cars couldn't actually build an car. So they bought cars and threw out the engines and then put their own stuff in it. I've never heard of this one in particular.
I haven't either. I will say that is a better strategy than making your own car if you are a startup electric company, because, we've just the history of, if they had the drivetrains in the old days were bad too, but if they compounded the problem by making their own terrible car, what was the car that we had a couple of weeks ago? It's just, just get a Gremlin and put batteries in it or whatever.
The two examples that stand out are the Electrek car and the Vanguard Sebring City car.
Right. Yeah.
Both of which look like if you ran over a big pothole, you would die in a forward impact.
Some people would argue the same is true for Tesla.
So this is a 4-door later Metro. And judging by the Dodge Neon-esque font on Force, it's put it at like 1995-ish, probably.
Definitely.
Somebody bought Geo Metros, which weigh virtually nothing, and then probably loaded them down with also lead acid batteries. A generation newer, so they only weigh 90 pounds instead of 150. And probably about 11 horsepower. So, and a range of 25 miles.
Right.
But in a very narrow use case scenario, probably
maybe that's all you need.
Commuter. Yeah,
totally. All right. Next up.
Ooh.
Into our, that appears to be a 56 Chevy.
Yep. Yeah, that's a 56.
I trust your diagnosis of the year on a TriFive Chevy because, as we've talked about before, you did a stint with Hot Rod, and they will actually cut your hand off if you get the wrong year TriFive Chevy. So
yeah, I got it wrong once, and I had to spend like a whole day like researching. This is different on this one and this one. I've forgotten most of that crap now, but it's mostly the fins that you can tell in the trim.
Yeah.
Trim.
Well, when we turned over the keys for Corvette magazine to the new editor, the first thing the new editor did was the from the editor column was talking about the first time he saw a 67 split window changed his life. And as you know, the split window is 63 only. And the pitchforks and torches, the whole deal.
Yeah.
Also, Ford Exploder.
Yeah. I mean, we I don't know if we've had any 55 to 57 anything in Lemons, have we?
Oh, boy.
It's kind of like the holy grail of years for the boomer crowd.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we've seen the the 52 Chrysler, and then we've had a 59 Edsel. 59 Jag.
The Pontiac too.
Yeah, you're right. The TriFive era for all American marks was kind of the classic go to Mel's Diner, relive the childhood that you didn't have, boomer situation. So harder to find for Lemon's money, although this one, I mean, if this to really cap it off, you got to put, especially if this is the V8 Ford Explorer, you know what to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Motor from V8 Ford Explorer into TriFive.
Yeah, that would really make boomers happy.
Yep.
All right.
There you go. Perfect.
Next up. Oh, now this is a car that Eric texted to our little internal Lemons text thread that I did not know existed. It's the badge engineered Chevy Colorado, which is an Isuzu i2. There was a couple of them depending on engine size, right? There was the i290 and the i270 or whatever it was.
370 for the V6 one. There you go.
Yeah.
Now, I-290, of course, is an interstate in Chicago that runs into downtown. So I don't know if that has any. I mean, there's your theme as the highway truck. We've seen it before, but it's fine. I don't know. This is like the swan song of Isuzu.
Yeah.
Is this era the last time they were? This might be the last thing they sold at all in the United States. Actually,
right? Yeah.
I don't know. Colorado's fine, I guess. The 370 is probably the 5-cylinder, isn't it?
Could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, that's So that's actually an inline motor.
Yeah.
And there was a straight six version that showed up in some of the SUVs, I think.
Yeah, the 42.
I don't know version with it. I don't know. Whatever. We're talking Isuzu i370s. What are we even doing?
Yeah. No, I mean, like, there's this weird. It was around like 2010 that there was like the last bastion of small pickup trucks, and every company had all kinds of badge engineered crap. So you had this Isuzu. There was
Suzuki Equator,
the Mitsubishi Raider.
Right. Well, there was the Isuzu Ombre, which is actually the predecessor to this. That was the S10.
I mean, those are all probably within Lemon's rules. You might want to email John Pagel if you find an i290 that you want.
I would imagine. I mean, those are still like, we have a 4,200 pound weight limit, which we have found is really the dividing line between a full size half-ton truck is about the biggest thing you can run, and even then we like to see you lower it down so that the frame rails aren't at Miata head height. Right. But the compact stuff, Tacomas, Rangers, all of that. I mean, these are later in that spectrum, so they're a little bigger. But I think you'd still be okay with one of these.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Excellent.
It's a good spot.
Man. Is it a Loyale? Or is it a Legacy?
I don't No, the badging, labeling, nameplates, and everything on Subaru stuff was so weird for so long. Like some of them were just engine size.
Yeah.
Some of them was like GL was a trim, but it was also a model. I don't know how to parse any of that crap out. Not that it really matters.
And let me just point out, wood, what can't it do?
That's right. That's right. That is structural wood and rock used to prop this thing up. So,
somebody in the comments, this is from Eastern Washington Car Spotting, and someone in the comments says, good thing Eastern Washington isn't generally considered earthquake prone. Really, if an earthquake hits, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? It's going to go donk.
Yeah. As long as you're not working on it. It looks like nobody's working on this thing anytime soon. So.
No. Well, there you go. Nice. Cool. It's it's a Tercel coupe. These are neat. I really like these. It's got the big old Volvo P1800 wagon rear back glass.
Yep.
Cool taillights. The Tercel was a sedan, and they didn't really change the roof height, so it's sort of weirdly, awkwardly tall. In fact, if you look at the car in profile view, it looks exactly the same as the shape of one of these taillights, which is a little odd, but it's neat. I like it.
Yeah, you can tell that there was a 4-door version of this from the roof line, where the second door kind of folds neatly into that. Yeah. I guess this is technically considered a shooting brake, isn't it?
Could be, yeah.
Yeah.
Although,
2-door.
Talk about another group of internet people who will tell you the exact definition of what is and isn't a shooting brake. Yeah. I will say we live in an era where a 7,000-pound 5-door SUV is called a coupe by more than one manufacturer. Yeah. Thanks, Germany, for that. Yeah. This is much more of a coupe than any of those. So this would be really cool if you put like sporty wheels, lowered it. I mean, this one looks like it might be mildly modified in that way. But if you really did it big and then did the orange Toyota racing stripes on it, it would be the coolest thing.
A couple of fender mirrors. Were these rear wheel drive?
These were not. These were front wheel drive. You had to get the Starlet to get the rear wheel drive tiny Toyota hatchback in the same era. So these are transverse front wheel drive, which for modern motor swaps might be a little easier. You just go out and get a Corolla motor, slap it in there. I'm sure it's easy.
Yep, 2ZZ.
No. All right, let's move on. Oh man. It's the Honda Civic CVCC hoarder.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole farm of CVCCs.
I mean, you're ready to go spec CVCC racing. Although, boy, way over on the left, and one can assume it's got to be another CVCC, actually looks like not, and it's got fender mirrors, which maybe means it's a Japanese model or it's suitably modified as such.
Yeah. I mean, this is pretty great. You could probably get at least 3 Lemons cars out of this group.
Oh yeah, at least. And then the good news is you get one of those double-decker car haulers and just tow it with the Ford truck that's over there.
Yeah. I mean, they don't weigh anything.
Be that much weight.
Yeah, so. Totally. It can't be that hard if you really wanted to put like a base model 80s D15 in these, which would be plenty of power. Yeah. And, there's probably enough of them out there. You could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 10 Civics. Yeah. How hard could it be?
And talk about making an entrance. Like,
oh, man.
Hey, we're a 10-car team. Whatever, and then you show up with just 10 of these on a single car hauler, of course.
Perfect. You win everything. You just take all the
prizes. You're going to pay for at least one of the entries with one of our various cash prizes. You will be guaranteed to win.
You know what I would do? I would give every other car 300 penalty laps, and these would start with a 300 lap head start.
Right, exactly.
And-
yeah. Well, it was a 150 car race, and the top 10 positions were 78 Honda CBC.
That's right.
Civics. Yeah.
There you go. There's the loophole right there.
Yeah. There's so many people that are like, I don't know what to do for lemons. Like we literally tell you what to do. You just have to do it.
You know what? It won't even be 10. I will say if you bring 5 CBCCs on one team, you win the race.
Yeah.
We will make sure you win the race.
It's a loophole. Yep.
It's a loophole.
I agree. All right. Next up. Now, when I said that you should tow these with the Ford truck,
you were wrong.
I'm actually going to revise my thinking. Wow. So, boy, that little extra cab section looks, I mean, it's obviously 2 of the same that they've added to this vehicle.
Yeah.
What's that from? Because there wasn't a factory extra cab Toyota of that era, was there?
No, it looks almost like they've taken 2. I don't know. The top part looks like truck topper, like a bed topper.
Yeah, maybe it's just like a section of side of bed.
Yeah, but I don't know what the body is that they've draped it over. It's kind of fascinating, and was custom painted at one point.
Yeah, I mean, this is really a engineering masterpiece. If anybody knows the story behind this thing, this is from Wasted Whips of 714. I wonder if that's an area code. Yes. This is a fine machine. Probably, this is a, I don't know which generation. It'd be like the 3rd generation Hilux, something like that. But it would have had the big block, the 22R motor, most likely. Actually, I'm not sure about that. I think the round headlight versions of this generation still had the 20R, and then when they went to the square headlight, then that got the 22R. Whatever. You can do whatever you want with the motor. We don't have a length limit in Lemons. I mean, the limiting factor is what's the sharpest corner in Lemons? Turn 5 at Thunderhill is in the conversation, because I remember talking about that when Chris Overzet brought the stretch limo to race, and he could only race it at Buttonwillow.
Yeah, even Buttonwillow at the on-ramp. That's pretty tight. You definitely couldn't race it through the bus stop at Sonoma. Right. It wouldn't be happening.
No. You'd get an exemption. You go the other way.
Yeah.
I don't see any problems with that.
Yeah. It would be really fun to watch this thing race at the ridge down the corkscrew.
With cars piled up behind it. I mean, assuming it wasn't fast, then, what do I know?
You know what? Put a 1UZ in this thing and bring it to Lemons.
It's a loophole. You can do whatever you want to the drivetrain.
This is a special loophole edition of Lemons Car Spotting.
Yeah. All right. Next up.
Ooh. Is it an Anglia?
I don't know.
It's I think it's an English Ford.
I think
some sort.
Well, what? Prefect? Is that an English Ford?
Yeah.
We'll say it's a Prefect. I have no idea. It's really cool, comically proportioned and tiny. I mean, it almost looks like, with this paint job and the painted windows, this looks like, something that would be at Disneyland, and it's made out of plastic.
Right.
And it's like, a fun thing kids can sit in and take their picture, and not actually a real car. But in fact, I think this is a real car.
Yeah.
Which makes it so much better.
That's the best part of 1950s English cars and into the early 60s. Is they looked at what was going on in America, and they're like, we should build that at 2/3 scale.
Yeah.
But then somehow they got some of the proportions completely wrong.
Right, exactly.
So
They kept the big car. Well, I guess, I mean, at some point you have to make it fit humans.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you scale the roof height down to where it looks normal, then like the headroom is like maxes out. You can't be taller than 4'6".
That's what it is it's got a tall roof line, so it looks like something out of the movie Cars.
Right. Boy, that's pretty neat and hilarious, and very British. All right, last car of the week. Oh man, just keep coming. Okay.
I'll be okay. Go.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's all right. Cheating. This is from Lemony Burbank. Used to be a Metro.
Perfect sense. Yeah.
And he's saying it's the Davinci. Does that mean that it was somebody who was beating the system? And I am going to make my new, revolutionary, high mileage car. A lot of the weird car wackos that decide to make their own car are like hypermile type people.
Hypermilers. Yep.
And then, there's a Venn diagram intersection there for sure. Yeah. And so is that what's happening? Is that he made like, I'm owning the oil companies and making a super aerodynamic Geo Metro. And it'll change the world.
Yeah. I read about hypermilers some time ago, and there were two cars that they absolutely adored for building their stuff. One of them is this car, Geo Metro, 3-cylinder XFI. And the other one is the Honda CRX HF. Both really small cars, and they would build these big cam backs on the back and smooth the lines and build wheel spats and use the moon hubcaps, the whole deal. Kind of fascinating. Overlaps with Lemons.
Interesting science exercise to do that.
But the practice of how you go about hypermiling is probably the most dangerous road driving in the entire universe.
Isn't there something called pulse and glide, aka what we call in Oakland gas brake dip?
Yeah, exactly. You get to a hill and you just turn the car off, so you have no power steering, or anything. No power brakes. The vacuum isn't doing anything, so it's just like, try not to die. And they lower the cars. They put, suspension on it to make them turn. Because then if you take the corner at 35, you don't have to accelerate again, which is good because neither of those cars have any horsepower at all. So,
right.
So they drive on the street like they are, auto crossing in this weird ass.
Well, it's like you pass a car that's going 17 miles an hour like on a big wide road because the engine is off and they're slightly coasting downhill. And then mentally you're like, oh, that was weird. All right, well, that guy's behind me now. And then you go to make a right turn. He comes screaming around you like a maniac.
Yeah.
And, all in the name of hypermiling.
I mean, I don't want to attribute political leanings to anything, but the typical I beat the system guy tends to lean a little more towards the libertarian. I am, I don't need to pay more than $9,000 for a car, so I bought a Suzuki Verona and I made my own license plate for it. This is the socialist left-leaning version of beating the system, wherein I'm not going to be bossed around by oil companies, and therefore if I'm getting 107 miles per gallon by coasting down hills and taking corners at 50, then I have also beaten the system, but in a different way.
Right. I think there's even yet another spin-off of this, which is the hypermiling motorcycle crowd.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the ticket there is to get a 49cc Honda Metropolitan and then put a gigantic teardrop body on it.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Yeah, which makes you like not able to turn or put your feet down at stoplights. But whatever. If you're beating the system, you're beating the system. Okay, that's the only thing that matters.
Man, long tangent. I think this might have originally been a convertible also, or they cut the roof.
Right.
Either one.
Yeah. It's definitely a chop top of some type.
And this person has made their own windshield, I think, also that basically leans directly back. There's absolutely no way you can see out of this car at all.
No.
Spectacular.
All right. That's it for this week. Let's see. You got the hooptiest.
Oh, man. This is a tough one. I mean, the Anglia is hoopty just because look at it. But,
what's the British word for hoopty? You know, they've got a funny word that sounds funny that would be perfect for this. I was thinking cheeky, but that's not quite right.
Yeah. If any English people in the comments, if you deign to watch this show, weigh in and let us know. Lots of Geo Metro happening. Lots of highly modified Geo Metro. As we discussed, the actual way to beat the system in a Metro is probably to have the 20-mile range electric version. But I got to say the hooptiest is the home-built Streamliner. I mean, I'm sure that it is. I'm sure it is extremely functional, or was. But Jesus, just talk about. I consider myself to have some environmentalist leanings, but this is just a step too far, I think. I can't get behind it.
I mean, it's the classic thing where, the Prius is an amazing vehicle because, coal rolling diesel bros hate it. But then people who build this car also hate it because it's actually solved the problem for them.
Correct. Yeah.
And they don't like being told that actually, this major car manufacturer is smarter than you.
Yeah.
So, I like the idea of this because, it's basically the polar opposite to the coal rolling diesel bro in that, it also doesn't really work as a car and probably pisses everybody off with bad driving. But it's, beating the system in a different way.
Yeah. I mean, there are many more facets to that argument, one being, well, I paid $900 for this, but then spent a Prius worth of money to make it like this. And then, the other side is if you've ever driven a Prius in like the eco mode, it basically teaches you how to hypermile, but not be dangerous. Right. It is doing the exact same thing and is much better at it. And for all the foibles of a Prius, it's functional. It can haul things. And
there's a reason why they sold a lot of them. For people like us, not a great solution, but for people who treat their car like they treat their refrigerator, it solves everything. And you don't need to have this in your life.
Yep.
Well, I'm very tempted to make this the Lemons build as well because it would look just so good. If that's your idea, do it. But we talked about it a lot already. That's so vehicle. We've already laid out the roadmap for making this your Lemons entry, and I think I've just got to do it. No need to dwell on it further. Your assignment is clear. Guaranteed prizes of some sort. Make it happen.
Yep. I have nothing to add. That is an actual perfect Lemons field right there.
Yep. All right. Keep tagging your photos. Lemons Car Spotting on Instagram. We will find them. Go in there and browse yourself because we're not covering everything that gets posted because of the volume of amazing spots around the world. So browse the Lemons Car Spotting section on Instagram. I'm sure you'll get other inspiration for your next Lemons race car.
There you go. You can actually follow the hashtag and then it'll bring it up in your feed.
That is true.
You'll see them all.
Done and done. Oh, man. For being a Malaise era car, this car is the car that has that crazy vacuum diagram with 6 million vacuum lines. They actually worked really well. I mean, it's almost like the complexity of vacuum and smog equipment was fine if you were Honda.
And only Honda.